Another muscle-up video? Yes, I thought I had already learned all possible variants of the muscle-up, but there was actually one more that I didn't learn, and it's called the dynamic muscle-up. The dynamic muscle-up is very commonly seen in calisthenics freestyle and gymnastics. The dynamic muscle-up heavily utilizes momentum, so you can get on top of the bar with minimal arm strength. And because of the momentum, you can combine with other moves without the need to pause. Someone actually messaged me and told me my muscle-up front row combination doesn't look good because I had to pause in between in my previous front row video. While Daniel was coaching me, he mentioned that the 3 basic moves that I had to master in Calisthenics Freestyle are the pullover, skin the cat, and the dynamic muscle-up. I had never done the pullover before, but I was able to learn it fairly quickly. I knew how to do the skin the cat because I was then learning the back lever. However, the dynamic muscle-up gave me a lot of trouble. There are 2 things I find disorienting for the dynamic muscle-up. First, you are not supposed to pull when you bring your legs up. This is completely opposite to the keeping muscle-up, where you pull and bring your legs up at the same time. So I find it extremely counterintuitive. Second, your body is supposed to flip up to the bar while your legs kick down at the same time. It means your upper body is going up, but your lower body is going down at the same time. I find different parts of the body moving in different directions extremely counterintuitive. But hey, after all, this is a kind of muscle-up, and I should be able to learn it in 3 days. Right? Unfortunately, for some reason, I just couldn't do it for the first few practices because the movement felt so unnatural to me. I even had to make sure that I could still do a normal muscle up to make sure nothing was wrong with my body. I decided to work on my swing and momentum generation first. Initially, it was a bit difficult to loosen up the body because I had been conditioned by the momentum bad concept for the muscle up for so long. But eventually, I was able to get the momentum going. However, I was unable to figure out how to utilize the momentum correctly. If I ignored the kick down and pull with momentum, it became somewhat like a front lever pull-up. If I tried to force the kick down, it became something like a hanging leg raise. I practiced, and practiced. On day 12, I decided to practice longer than usual because I couldn't believe I still couldn't get it. After 45 minutes into the session, my arms were pretty tired, but this happened. Oh, okay. I finally understood it. The reason why I couldn't get up before was that I was pulling. I should stop pulling because the dynamic muscle up is supposed to be using minimal arm strength to get up onto the bar. When I stopped pulling due to my tired arms, my body automatically figured out that the main crux of the technique, which is to thrust your hips high and forward when your legs hit the highest point. If you thrust your hips with enough power and momentum, your body will flip onto the bar automatically. The legs will also kick down automatically without you even thinking about it. You should focus on your legs during the first part of the movement and then on the hips in the second part of the movement. Your arms will just be gripping onto the bar the whole way, but you don't ever need to focus on them because they aren't pulling much. After a few practices on the hip thrust, this happened. Is that it? At this point, I thought about chaining the dynamic muscle up with the front row, but I learned my lesson not to force things when doing dynamic movements on the bar. So I decided to wait until the next session when my body was fresh, and this happened. Yo! Okay. Yes! I also want to mention that even though less arm strength is used in the dynamic muscle up, it is actually very taxing on the joints. Let's do a quick comparison between the dynamic muscle up, the keeping muscle up, and the strict muscle up. The amount of strength needed going from high to low is the strict muscle up, the keeping muscle up, and then the dynamic muscle up. However, the amount of stress on the joints is the complete opposite. Going from high to low is the dynamic muscle up, the keeping muscle up, and then the strict muscle up. If you are still working on your first muscle up, my recommendation is to start with the keeping muscle up first, since the strength needed isn't as much as the strict muscle up and the chances of injury are way lower compared to the dynamic muscle up. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my website, geekclimber.com. See you in the next video.